I've spent my whole life travelling this country. Australia. She's just alive. She speaks to me. She's an ancient land, and she speaks of suffering, and she speaks of survival. There are so many stories never told, so many stories never known. Come and see the world in low range.
Roothy's climbing sand dunes, Glen's crossing creeks, Kenno's kept out yonder and it could be there for weeks. They're on an adventure, that is nothing strange. They love forward travel, living life in low range.
Glen Hadden. Always been interested in cars, trained on the speedway, he's a motor mechanic, a four-wheel drive specialist, hot rod diesel expert. This trip he's driving his 2013 Land Rover Discovery 4. It's like a robot on wheels, a computer with a roof, and it's the first time he's driven it off-road. Kent Hindley, adventurer, fisherman, sparky by trade. Kenno's driving the ute he loves, a 2009 Toyota Hilux with all the fruit, and he's towing an MDC Extreme Explorer with his beloved tinny on top. Me, I'm just the guy who's been out in the bush too long and who's a sucker for the old stuff. That's why Milo and I stick together. She's a 1984 Toyota and she's seen more off-road tracks than most trucks ever will. We're in the state of Queensland, in the world's smallest continent, Australia, the place we call home. We're starting our trip on Tiwa Beach. The plan is to head north, explore the coastline and then catch the barge over to the largest sand island in the world, Fraser Island. Starting at the bottom, we're going to work our way right to the top to Sandy Cape. And then once we're back on the mainland, we're going to go and find a few hill climbs in the Vernon State Forest. Gleno can check his Land Rover out before making camp at the stunning Burrum Coast National Park. Then we'll head a couple of hours further north to finish the trip at Bulburren National Park. Oh, this is going to be good. Ah, this is the life. How good's this?
This is the life, mate. Loving it.
We've driven for longer than 5 minutes now. I think it's time to stop and set up camp and maybe enjoy this area.
Oh, you want to go fishing, don't you, Kenno? You know, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I must have driven up and down here and pretty much up and down a whole lot of places in Australia for a whole long time, and we never got a chance to stop. Far out, it feels good to be behind the wheel of Milo again. Gee, I missed it.
Hey guys, I don't know what's going on here. I think we've been pulled over.
Oh, mate, hope they don't find your rocket launchers.
What a way to start a trip, getting pulled over by the coppers on the beach.
Morning, driver.
Good morning, officer. How
I'm
are
Acting
you?
Sergeant Watt for the Road Policing Unit, just put over for random breath test.
Are they after John? Yes, of course they are. The green truck, it's different.
Any alcohol in the 12 hours previous?
In the 12 hours previous? No, not at all.
This is getting pretty serious. Some other bloke's getting out of the car too.
Yeah, he looks like he's fresh out of the office too. He might be a big wig.
Blow directly and continuously until I say stop.
All right, no problem.
Go for it.
Standing back having a look at it, that's not good.
It's all zeros.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Just go and have a quick look at your four-wheel drive.
Mr. Ruth, how are you?
Mr. Flanders, how are you? I couldn't believe it. It's my old mate Pete Flanders. We used to ride trail bikes together.
How's Milo going?
She's still going fine. Still the same engine that you drove all those years ago.
Yeah.
It blew up out at Cameron's Corner.
He's got the tape measure out. What's there to measure?
I had a 5 litre thing strapped underneath with the breather hose into it, collecting the oil. And every 50 k's I had to stop, pick it up,
Put it at the top again.
Motor.
Oh, that's awesome.
They'll be looking for things that are legal on that car.
Mate, we might be doing this trip by ourselves, eh?
Yeah, what are you doing up here? Oh, I don't know. I was going to ask you the same thing, actually.
We're just doing a bit of speed enforcement in the signed area now.
So how are you monitoring speed on the beach?
Mate, what we got is a thing called a true cam. It actually takes a photograph gives us the speed, and you get a ticket sent to you in the mail. We're not here to catch the average people who are obeying the speed limits and looking after their family.
Yeah.
We're here to catch the idiots who are treating this environment as a racetrack.
I can't agree more with that, you know. I mean, so you got kids down here or fishermen and they sort of turn around, run up the beach. Well, they can't hear over the noise of the surf. They're not going to hear the vehicle coming.
That's right.
Ruthie, found a few things wrong with Milo. I started writing them out.
No.
I ran out of paper, so there's the whole book, mate. All the defects are on the inside. What you need to fix on the old girl, eh?
Oh, mate. Oh, Pete, this can't be right.
I know we've been friends for a long time, but mate, sorry, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh, it was great to catch up with a mate I haven't seen in a decade, but the handbrake sure ain't going to be happy when I get home.
Well, it's high tide and I couldn't really get a run up, and it's pretty soft in here, so with the trailer on I just didn't have enough momentum. Anyway, looks like we've got another victim just here. So I was lucky to make it how far I did, I think. Glen!
Hello.
Well, the guys have got a plan. That's always the most important part of any recovery.
You probably just winch yourself up and then I'll move forward.
Only move forward when I've taken weight off the rope.
Perfect. Gotcha.
Ha! Almost sounds like you know what you're talking about, Kenno.
All yours, matey.
It helps if I put the winch in gear. I might get out and do that, shall I?
Oh, I think I spoke too soon.
Okay, when you're ready, mate.
She's pretty soft.
Yeah, you're nearly up on the stuff.
Whoa, you're really enjoying that, aren't you, Kenno?
Mate, high five me.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank Land Rover.
If I've got a mission in life, it's to encourage people to get out into the outdoors. I'm not an Aboriginal, but I believe in the same thing. I believe we have a connection to country, big time.
I get along with these guys famously. You know, it's like being a young teenage kid, I suppose, and you just running amok.
Gee, there's some big waves out there, Ken.
Yeah, it's big.
They're pumping.
I've seen bigger waves on a heart monitor, to be honest, mate.
It's worth going out and having a go, even if there is a little bump coming through. It's just good to get in the water. Next thing I know, there's John running down the beach. I'm thinking, is he just going for a swim or what? He comes out, chucks us aboard, Kenno, I'm going to have a go. No worries.
I had no chance of getting on that surfboard. I mean, a surfboard, for me, you know, for this to float, it's just simple physics. You've got to have twice as much buoyancy as there is body. And that surfboard, as soon as I hopped on it, just basically went glug. I had as much chance of surfing as a bar of soap in a bathtub.
John has his crack, and then Gleno comes running down the beach.
One of the missions on this trip is to get out of our comfort zone. Growing up, my mates got into surfing, but I always avoided it because of my fear of sharks. I'd think that, wouldn't I?
No.
So, yeah. Yeah.
And he has a go.
Where'd the board go?
I think his feet are touching the bottom.
I know the board is.
There wasn't enough buoyancy for Gleno. He sort of sunk the 8-foot mal a little bit.
I'll tell you what, when it comes to surfing, he's a pretty good diesel mechanic.
That's it.
Now I'm a professional surfer. I've been picked up by a couple of major sponsors and I'll be doing the circuit real soon. Not.
Mother Nature, leave her alone, she comes up with amazing things. Get a load of the coloured sands. These aren't just any old sand dunes, these have been forming since the last ice age. And they're one of the most significant examples of coloured sands anywhere in the world. Iron oxide, vegetable dyes, things like that create the colours, and there's something like 72 colours in here. That's amazing, isn't it? Inskip to Hook Point is about as close as Fraser gets to the mainland, and it's dead easy on the barge.
I don't know what it is, there's something that just comes over you when you get on the Fraser. You just automatically slip into relax mode and ready to have a good time. It's such a great place.
Getting off the barge at Hook Point marks the start of 75 Mile Beach. This is 75 miles, or 120 kilometres of straight beach right up the east coast. It's a perfect opportunity to wind the window down, crank up the music and feel that fresh ocean breeze hit your face. Makes you feel alive. Bit of a washout here, guys. No big deal. Nice bit of fresh water.
It's always amazed me how much fresh water comes out of the island.
I mean, the whole island's like a dirty, great big funnel for fresh water. Proud to be a Queenslander, mate. We own the biggest sand island on earth.
And if we had a decent fisherman with us, you wouldn't have to bring any food. All you have to bring is a hot pan and a plate.
I'm pretty confident on Fraser that we're going to be eating a lot of fish.
And then when all else fails, there's always the bar at the Orchid Beach shop.
With a nice curry meat pie.
We better put our order in now, Glen, seeing as Kenno's fishing. All that talk of pies. Hey, it's a ritual. You can't drive past Eurong without dropping into the bakery for a pie. Could be the last decent feed we get too if I'm cooking. A lot of people reckon I've got the best job on earth. They're probably not wrong. But look at this guy. This is Dan, one of the rangers on Fraser. Mate, how good is this? You live right there, beach in your front yard, and you've only got, what, 350,000 people to keep an eye on?
It's pretty good office I work in, yeah, for sure.
It is, isn't it, mate? And you've been doing the rounds lately of the camps and whatnot, a few dingo alerts and stuff.
It's important that we get out and we let people know that our dingoes, they are wild animals. They're closely related to wolves, and they're not like your domestic dogs. We need to keep well away from them. But we also need to be very careful that we're not leaving food available for dingoes.
Because if the dingoes get used to humans as a source of food, they're going to get angry when there's a human who hasn't got some food for them. That's how it works, kind of, isn't it?
That is exactly what can happen. And look, we have had a number of incidents on Fraser Island in the past where there's been some quite serious attacks on people and on kids, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid.
Good on you, Dan. Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much, John.
That's
Hope
excellent.
you enjoy your stay on the island.
Thanks, mate. I've got one more favour, though. Can you help me push my truck? I'm not joking. It's not starting. Righto! First time I did Fraser in Milo, the starter motor went. Here we are 15 years later, the starter motor's gone. Oh well, who needs a starter motor when you got friends? Might not have any for long, but... Fraser Island has claimed a heap of shipwrecks over the years, well over 23 that I know of, but the most famous is the Maheno, which snapped its tow chain during a cyclone back in 1935. Weighing over 5,000 tonnes, you can see why attempts to refloat it never worked. At the end of 75 Mile Beach, you arrive at Indian Head. Right here, on the cliff edge, is where the local Aboriginals stood to get a better view of the Endeavour in 1770. After seeing them, Captain Cook named this Indian Head. Europeans used the term Indians to describe savages, which is what the Aboriginal people were regarded as in those times. I don't know who the savages were though, because in 1851, this was the site of the worst Aboriginal massacre seen on Fraser Island. How can such a perfect place be the site of such an atrocity?
The first campsite we had on Fraser Island was just north of Orchid Beach. We found a site propped up on the dunes with a great view of the ocean.
Anyone who's been camping in a place like this knows how I'm feeling right now. The perfect climate, the ocean breeze, the beautiful green surrounds. I feel relaxed. It's bloody good. What a place to have a camp, just surrounded by Mother Nature. But you can't have campfires here anymore for one simple reason. Too many people used to chuck bottles and cans into them. Ah, struth.
Brilliant day.
Unreal.
Yeah, well, I'm glad something worked today because dinner won't.
I love Roothy's cooking. I always have, always will. It's cooked with so much flavour.
You haven't even asked me what we're going to have.
What are we having, John?
Not sure.
That'll do, I'll have that.
And I guess the best thing about it is when you travel with guys like this, they don't care what you cook. They'll have a crack at it. I was actually going to call it low-range lasagna. And then I realised we didn't have any lasagna, so let's just call it low-range lasagna and work on it.
Sounds good to me. I see onion there anyway.
Yep, started out with onion, mate, and then we're stepping up to your favourite, Honey Charlie's chilli.
Whole jar of it, did you say? A lot of people ask me about Roothy's cooking and the ingredients that go in and how it's obscure and it's different. It's normal for me.
A little bit of garlic, probably a whole bit actually, fair bit. Trick ingredient, name this guys.
Bacon.
No, name
pig.
this.
Oh, isn't that bloody cornflakes or the Wheat Bix?
Muesli.
Muesli.
Yeah.
I'm blaming John for my excess weight, you know.
More muesli.
Trim milk.
This is actually, what was that? Trim milk. This is trim milk. It's actually chopped up hot sausage. And what we're making here is a real man spaghetti bolognese, okay? That's what your low-range lasagna is all about. Can't even say lasagna. Lasagna.
Lasagna?
There we go, that's better. Because sometimes I don't know what I'm cooking either until it winds up. Righto, so we've got some really hot pepperoni cabanossi in there. We've got bacon, we've got onion, we've got, what else have we got? Chili, of course.
Garlic.
And at this stage, it's time to add a couple of other ingredients. One is beef mince. Got to be a little bit careful around here with meat, as you know. Mostly because Hasbeen's sitting over there, you know, like they're worried about dingoes. Look, there's a whole pack of dingoes when it comes to anything tasty.
I'll only eat a couple.
We've got a lot of meat in there, okay? Now, you know what they say about a lot of meat? I don't either. But I'm going to chuck some veggies in too, just in case. Could make a difference.
Don't ruin it.
Oh, sorry, Glenno. I've been really slack here. I bought the old pre-chopped up mushrooms again. Mushrooms are one of those vegetables, a bit like pistachio nuts.
Oh, would you like one, John?
Thank you. Wow, you're too good, guys.
We might not have dinner, so eat some nuts.
This is just tomato pieces, by the way. I'm getting that in while I'm chatting away there. And this is the essence of any bolognese sauce, except the creamy ones. Now, a couple of other things, just to get the taste buds happening. A little bit of honey, not much. This is an oxo cube, a whole lot of flavour and a fair bit of salt. And that's pretty much in the absence of our mate soy sauce, something else I forgot to get. That's what's going in there tonight. No worries. All right, guys, I'm going to go and get the pasta, come back, steal some pistachio nuts, and then it's time to eat. You blokes are going to need plates.
You better be quick.
Oh, struth. Beautifully cooked. That one, low-range lasagna, meat. There you go, mate. I think you'll enjoy this.
I will.
Hang on, how about a bit of cheese? Okay, there you go, take it.
Okay, no, you said cheese.
You've been looking fairly skinny, mate. You needed to come out bush and let me work on you again.
Thanks, John.
No worries. Kenno, you're in, mate.
That's plenty. I'll have cheese though.
You love cheese?
Yeah, load it up with the cheese.
Load it up.
Cheese. Oh, that's the bloody go.
That's the ducks, isn't it?
Yep, that's awesome.
Oh, that's killer.
Thank you.
Is that all right?
Look at this.
The Fraser Island low range pasta. Lasagna.
Oh, lasagna.
It's really not that hard, you know. If you want to cook something that your mates really like, all you do is go to the supermarket and buy the stuff with all the flavour in it. And then when you chuck it in the pot, all the flavour mixes up and you get flavour times 10. When the sun comes up, I think humans are programmed to appreciate it. The new day, this tiny little speck, there's the great big giver of life coming up over there, and here you are. I think it's just magical. Something very special about that. We chose to camp just north of Orchard Beach for a couple of reasons. Obviously it's beautiful, but it's also really well placed. It's just south of Nagala Rocks. Apparently the sand is low around the rocks at the moment, so I want to be there right on low tide. It'll give us a chance of getting around those rocks if the passage is blocked. Okay, situation, Nagala's blocked. Some fella with a boat on the back. Poor guy, it's pretty soft at the moment. So, this is the alternate way around Nagala, which is definitely a low tide version. You wait, get it right, wait until the waves are up, fairly gentle, and then go. And hug the rocks on the left hand side. It's just getting the tide right, that's your major situation. Righto, here we are on the other side. Guys, I've come through. I'm going to see if I can offer some help. Well, I wasn't surprised when we got to Nagala because school holidays, that many people, no rain. The sand gets so soft. I think we hook in to help out whenever we can. Hello guys! You don't mind if we film your whole embarrassing incident, do you? We know how soft it is, all right? We've all been stuck here.
The first thing we did when we come across them is check tyre pressures. And in this instance, we had to let them down a little bit more.
You go straight through this stuff in 12, because it's 25% difference from 16. Do you need a hand? Do you want to pull from the front? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'll come through.
I jumped in Milo with John. We went around the north entrance to Nagala.
What we're going to do, I'm going to try and get as close as I can before I need to reverse. It's too narrow to get Milo around the cars from the southern entrance. Oh, that's soft. So we're heading to the northern entrance to pull them out that way.
Well, here we were helping other people get out of their bog, and we get bogged.
Oh, don't get stuck. Boy, don't we know what we're doing. Nothing like being an expert when you're not. I'm going to let my tyres down too.
We had to get out, we had to let our tyre pressures down to about between 10 and 11 PSI. This was going to be a big pull.
Like most recoveries, the thing that made this one possible was teamwork. Gleno and I especially have been working together in heaps and heaps of recoveries. Okay, everyone in?
All good.
I figured the vehicles needed a bit of a push to get going, and there's plenty of people standing around, but it happened a bit easier than I thought, and a few of the guys fell over. Obviously that's not real safe. Got to keep an eye on things like that. You're doing a great job, mate.
Cheers, ready.
You're nearly there too.
It was really good. Little Milo just chugging away, pulling 2 vehicles and a boat through Nagala. What a sight.
Oh, awesome. I'm hoping those guys learned about tyre pressure because they'd read the brochure and they were doing 18 to 20 PSI. Most people tend to be too conservative with tyre pressure.
It's only every couple of years you can drive around the rocks at Nagala. In this instance, we were able to, right on the low tide.
When there's a passage that you can only drive when the tide's out, then to risk getting stuck is to risk losing your vehicle. That's your problem at Nagala, that's your problem at Rainbow Beach, anywhere you get a rocky outcrop into the sea.
Beautiful. Well, once through Nagala, which is pretty much a straight old trip up the beach to Sandy Cape.
This is the beautiful end of Fraser. Sandy Cape is the northeast tip of Fraser Island, and you can see it. All that sand's come up from Victoria and New South Wales. All the sand islands in Queensland are made from the same ocean bringing up the same sand. And at Fraser, it's all collected around Indian Head and then tailed off into these massive great sand dunes. It's taken, you know, millions of years to get that way.
Sandy Cape on Fraser Island is my favourite spot. From surf to calm water. It's just magical.
Oh wow, that's just glorious. Look at the bank out there. There's going to be fish here, Kenno.
Oh, look at the water. This is gonna be gold. How good is this? Yeah, so I finally convinced John to come fishing with me out in the boat. Ripped the tinny off the top of the trailer, threw the motor on, threw a bit of gear in. And off we went, out into the sandy strait.
Just put a bit of weight on this side, mate.
I've got it. In you go. About as graceful as 3 whales in a bathtub.
We're good at this.
Me, I can't get into
I'll
that.
give you a bit of room.
Whoa, here I come.
You all right?
Go, Kenno, go. Well, after a graceful entry into the boat, we were off. Must admit, Kenno's got me excited about what we can catch out here. We're doing something called trolling. I've done a bit of that before, but never in a boat. Oh, check out the colour of the water. This is insane. I'll tell you what, I'm really, really glad I bought a big bag of sausages along. Oh, there's many mysteries in the world, but how Kenno can throw a line into a whole bunch of fish that you can see jumping out of the water and they all ignore it just amazes me. I mean, the number of times he casts in and out, he's the most enthusiastic fisherman I've ever seen.
Not a single fish, not a single bite. What a waste of time.
Now that we're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, I figured it'd be a good time to tell the guys about the monster that's rumoured to live right underneath us. So you don't know about the story of the moa?
No.
Okay, well, a lot of people who've spent a lot of time up here, lighthouse keepers especially, have seen this. The drawings I've seen of it, it's a cross between like a turtle and a seahorse. It almost looks like a Loch Ness monster type thing. These stories always sound like rubbish until you start looking into them. There was well, for 40 years there was a school up here. Teacher came down with 2 of the kids one day and saw this thing on the beach. Actually landed up on the beach. It was huge. They looked at it for over half an hour. She sketched pictures of it. When the teacher showed the pictures she drew to the local Aboriginals, they instantly knew what it was. They called it the moa.
Maybe Loch Ness Fraser's in the front of the boat.
You used to be cool.
I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to run into Glenno in a black wetsuit with a hood on in the middle of the night coming out of the water here, would you? So we kept on fishing into the late afternoon. Queenfish, mackerel, whiting, trevally, they all call this ocean home, apparently.
Perfect conditions to catch sharks tonight though, eh?
Yeah, right, kiddo. Hey, at least he's persistent. You've got to give him that much.
I reckon I got about 14 kilos of weed on here.
He sounds surprised. Poor bugger.
When you roll out of the camper trailer first thing in the morning, no one's awake yet. You just want to check the conditions to see if it's worthwhile going for a fish or not. It still takes you about 10 minutes to do that because you get stuck watching the sun rise over the water. It's just fantastic.
I'd woken up for an early morning dip. The sun was in my eyes. I was walking along the water's edge and I see this figure and I'm thinking, oh no, it's not a myth. The moa is real. But no, it was just John having his morning bath with his little blow-up toy.
At least we can show him my blow-up toy. Hey, here's the next lot of suckers. I mean, nice people to help me clutch start Milo again. Okay, guys, whenever you're ready. She's heavy, eh? Come on! Oh, you out of luck. One. Cut. Don't let them see Milo being pulled by a Land Rover. It's our last day on the island and it's such a shame to leave. There's so much here to see. You know, Fraser Island's an iconic place. It's one of those places everybody's heard of. But where did the name come from? Originally, the Butchalla people called it Gari, which appropriately means paradise. When Captain Cook first saw it, he named it the Great Sandy Peninsula. Then they worked out it was an island, so it became the Great Sandy Island. But eventually, the name of this island was changed again. This time, it was named after a woman. There was a shipwreck up the coast in 1836, and the captain's name was Fraser, and his wife, Eliza, had joined him on that trip, right? Anyway, they come on down the coast, and this is how far they got, and they got wrecked here on Waddy Point. This is where they came on shore, and the local Aboriginals pretty much adopted them. Now, this is where it gets all fuzzy, this story. Eventually, Eliza Fraser was rescued, but the whole thing is, you know, from there on, she made an absolute fortune out of going on the speaking circuit here and back in England, because they all wanted to hear stories about this woman who'd lived with all these wild Aborigines in such a wild place, so far away from people. But because of her and her horror stories, they justified a whole lot of the early atrocities. The very people who helped her are the ones who copped it later on.
Yeah.
It's just sad, isn't it? It's sad, isn't it, eh? Kenno's going to give the fishing one more hit.
When we were leaving Fraser, Kenno opened the bait bucket.
Oh, doesn't look like there's any ice in here.
And the silly goose had a smell of it, and he just started throwing up everywhere.
I've always had a weak stomach. It sort of comes and goes a little bit. Oh, that is not good. Oh, I can't go near that.
Oh well, that's what happens when you don't catch fish. You got bait left over. He deserves it.
Go sniff the bucket, man. It's not good. Oh, even thinking about that bait bucket the other day, I was dry heaving.
Go tip it in the water.
I want to try and catch something.
Yeah.
Boy, you're a class act, Kenno.
Your sympathy spewer.
I'm good now. It's in the water. Whoa.
Kenno, you're just going to have to let it go, mate.
If I get a fish now, it still counts as on Fraser.
Right hand down. Oh, she couldn't.
Whoa! I started bracing myself for the roll.
Oh, there goes the tyre.
This is just to save him.
Starting to slip here, guys.